Just a few boneheaded, walking, talking Neanderthals. Okay, we've started.
Oh, are we good?
We're
No
good.
more.
We're going.
Everybody's hooked up
I
properly.
think we're all hooked up. I think.
I think so too. I can hear everybody. Everybody can hear me.
Very good.
And y'all can't hear me, which is what is most important.
Can't hear what?
Or you can't hear me chewing, which is what is most important.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is your second appearance on the podcast. How do you feel about that, Sarah? What?
Mainly because Gavin's here.
It's
I
what?
couldn't hear what you said.
I have no idea what you said.
Oh, I said I'm a little surprised, mainly because Gavin's here.
Oh. Well, to be
you're
honest.
you're anticipating me not making it, so that's why you had Sarah like ready to go.
No. I'm not feeling that talkative today, so I needed somebody who I know can talk. And boy, can
count on
she
me.
talk.
Is there any special topics you want to talk about, Sarah?
We can talk about research. Or not.
I mean, yeah, we can. All right, wait. Okay, I got to get into a story before we do anything.
Tell us about your weekend, Gavin.
I sent the boys a picture of the cops at our place, although nobody had any questions, which is kind of disappointing.
I just figured you'd tell us if it was anything cool.
So, all right, we went down to the property to do our yearly spring cleaning, like grab all our hunting shit and the cameras and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So it's not down there for all summer. And as you know, or may not know, I guess, they're fighting fires down there. And there was a fire somewhat recently, according to your brother. So we went down just to scout it out and see what was going on. And as we're driving by, I'm driving, so I'm not looking, but Dad tells me to stop the car, like, I don't know, probably 2 blocks before we get to the entrance to our ranch. Because how our ranch is situated is there's a bunch of houses on the road with like acre lots. And then behind all of these houses is our property. And our property runs the length of most of these houses. And he tells me to stop the car. He stops the car and he's like, "What the fuck is up with those trees on our property?" And I couldn't see anything because I'm, driving, trying not to fucking die on the highway. So I have no idea what he's talking about. So pull into the ranch. We grab the 4-wheeler. He's like, "Come with me. We're going to go look what's going on." So we drive through the woods and we're driving to a corner of the property we don't normally go to. So we have a trail on the left side of the property that we run most of the time because that's our path to the feeders and the blinds. But there's a whole right side of the property that we kind of leave just alone because that's where a lot of the animals like to go and sit and rest. So we really don't go over there that much. We don't even have a trail cut through all the way around the property. So we just drive straight through just fucking nature. There's no trail or anything. And then all of a sudden we come to this clearing that didn't used to exist. And I shit you not, it looked like somebody had tilled the land. They had cut all the trees down, cut all the grass, and like tilled it. Like it was just dirt. There wasn't any trees, there wasn't any brush, there wasn't anything. And it was a good like acre of the property that was just gone. Like it's not like the fire department came out and had to cut a fire break or something. It's like somebody took a fucking tiller and just wreaked havoc like they were gonna plant crops.
What do you think? I mean, were they trying to plant crops?
No.
Continue.
So, what's interesting about this certain acreage, and this is kind of the reason why Dad could see from the property, is it was the acre on the fence line next to these houses. So it's adjacent to these houses.
Okay.
So Dad's like freaking out. So the first thing we do is call the cops, tell them to come down here. So while they're on the way, Dad and I do some investigating of our own. Dad's like fucking furious now. He's pissed. So he starts knocking on people's doors that are like next to where it is. So if you imagine these houses are adjacent to the road, behind the houses is a fence. So it's the fence to their property and the fence to our property. Right behind that fence line is where that acre of land is just gone.
Okay.
So we surmise that somebody did something that was probably one of these homeowners. So we start knocking on doors, and only one lady answers. I can hear music coming through, by the way. I don't know
Who?
what that
Sorry,
is.
that was me.
Oh, okay.
And we knock on the door, and then this small old Mexican lady comes out, right?
Okay.
And she doesn't speak a lick of English.
Do any
So
of y'all?
Dad's
Do either of y'all speak Spanish?
no, we don't speak Spanish. I wish we did, but we don't.
Okay.
So Dad's like trying to fucking sign language what's happening, right? And he gets the lady around the corner, and he starts pointing at the property, like, what the heck's happening? She then calls somebody on the phone and starts talking to him in Spanish, and then hands the dad my phone. Now, at this point, Dad told me to go wait for the sheriff, so I have no idea what the conversation was. All I could hear was my dad's voice, like at certain times, because it got loud enough for me to hear down the street. So apparently, what happened was that lady's son was worried that her house was going to burn down in a fire, and cut the fence down, and took a tractor over there and cut down all the trees, got rid of all the grass, and just made it basically dirt for the whole acreage around her house. And it passed through her house. It goes down a couple houses in either direction.
Oh wow.
So Dad was fucking furious because many different reasons. I mean, one of them is you shouldn't be on somebody else's land without permission. And secondly,
Yeah.
some of the trees he took down were some of the biggest trees on the property. Like some of the oldest and biggest trees just gone. And he stacked it all in a pile and just fucking left it too. Like there's just a pile of all of what used to be growing there next to the lot. And then he just rebuilt the fence and went home. So that was wild. And then the sheriff came, and the sheriff didn't see it at first because he came from the other direction. And when he first pulled up, he was trying to like diffuse the situation because my dad was pissed. He was like, well, maybe, we knew there was a fire recently. Maybe they were worried about a fire, like that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was like, just go look at it. And so we walk through the woods. We get to the spot. We come to the clearing. The guy's like, yeah, this is not a fire break. This is total fucking destruction of your property. So sheriff called it in immediately, and they started filing a police report. He called us later saying the report's been filed.
Okay.
And my dad's going to press charges against the guy.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. The guy, like, I think the guy figured we were just gringos that would never show up and check it, Because the moment my dad was called him and started cussing at him, Dad said he was like, I'll come down, I'll do whatever I got to do. But you can't replace those big old oak trees. Like,
No.
it was pretty wild. So
yeah, like I just like on one hand, like I can like respect her son, I guess, being like, Mom, I'm worried about you. Like, there's fires nearby. On the other hand, there are definitely better ways to go.
And if you're gonna make a fire break, I mean, make it on your own property.
Yeah, like make it on your own property, or
that's
at least
another thing. There was trees around our house that he didn't touch.
Yeah, like or contact the property owner and be like, hey, my elderly mother lives right next to your property, and I'd like to talk to you about like putting in a fire break. Like there's better ways of going about that than just being like, it's gone.
It's even if we had agreed to cut a fire break, if he had done that still, it would have been an issue because he took out everything. It's just gone.
Yeah.
Just nothing left. Dad took pictures. I don't know. I'm not Caleb. I can't figure out how to get them up on the screen, but like it's just gone. So
I could also understand if there was like an encroaching fire, like an immediate hazard, but
yeah,
it was
the
like
fire
10
wasn't
miles
even
from your property, I think.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. So
that sucks. Like
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Like it's really unfortunate and just kind of
Yeah, I don't know what Dad's gonna do other than like, if I don't even know if they're gonna file because the sheriff is the one that filed or submits it, and then the district attorney or whoever I don't even know if Falfierce has one of those, but the lawyers are the ones that decide the charges. So I don't even know if it's gonna be a criminal charge or not. But
yeah, I
mean, at minimum, it could be trespassing.
That's true. No, I met this lawyer a couple weeks ago, and she was explaining the difference between like criminal cases and civil cases, and like kind of like, with the criminal case, they'll like arrest that person and they'll go to jail, right? If they're found guilty. But with civil cases, people tend to have to like pay a fine, uh, which is, I would imagine, what this case would be, since like, nobody actually got hurt here. But
what I understand, the biggest difference is, it's the burden of like doing a lawsuit and trying to get something out of it is on you in a civil case, whereas in a criminal case, it's literally the cops and the city's attorneys, that it's not in your hands whether or not it
yeah,
happens. So
I
also,
would.
most of the time, you like a criminal charge won't result in anybody getting paid. So
Mhm.
that's why a lot of civil suits get piled on top of criminal suits, because the only way for you to get any money out of it would be through a civil case.
Oh, interesting.
But I think it's going to be. Dad said the most counties it's criminal, like, I don't know what the word is. Like if you fuck up somebody's shit, it's
Yeah.
but it's like $1,000 or something. So less than $1,000 is a civil case. More than
Okay.
$1,000 is a criminal case. Which I would assume that was more than $1,000 in damage, but I don't know how you quantify
I don't know how you
all
quantify that
that.
either. Oh, I also have like a bad feeling in my gut about that guy like going to jail for what he did.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna go to jail for it. I would assume they probably just fine him, but
Yeah.
because I don't
Uh,
think it's that bad. I don't even know
no.
if it's a felony. It might just be a misdemeanor. But
Yeah. Overall, your story has made me a little sad and a
yeah, I
little
don't know. It's
anxious.
pretty wild. I don't know what the fuck that guy was thinking, but
Oh, either.
I mean, the moment my tractor crossed into somebody else's property, I would have been like, maybe this isn't the move.
I should probably call this guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Like,
what pissed Dad off so much. He's like, you didn't even try to fucking contact us.
yeah. Like, I know Jake won't even like walk onto property if he thinks that it's property that he's not allowed to be on.
Well, it's trespassing. I mean, you can't fucking be on private property.
Yeah, yeah.
Very illegal.
Yeah. Yeah,
Especially with a gun in your hands.
that's true.
That's a good point.
That's a big fucking deal. Man.
So how was your
But-
weekend, Sarah? Sorry, Gavin, did you have more?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Mm. I had to go to lab this weekend because I was dumb earlier this week. So I had to go into lab and like redo the experiment.
Do you want to explain that further?
Sure. Gavin, do you know what immunohistochemistry is?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this was my first time doing immunohistochemistry, but my friend Derek, who had done it several times and like had a good protocol written down, was like, yeah, I'll walk you through it. It'll all be good. And it was going great until day 2, where he was helping one of our other coworkers with confocal, and he was like, just call me if you need me. I was like, perfect. And I was doing all the steps, and it was going great. And I had put my primaries on the day before, so I was putting my secondaries on today. And then the next day, I was going to do confocal. And so it all goes fine. I get my slides mounted. Next day, I go down to the confocal room. I'm standing there getting the microscope set up. I'm like, I wonder what channel I'm supposed to view my cells through, because like I've never like done this before. And I just had this like moment where I was like, did I fuck up horribly? And the answer was yes, because the protocol just said to put secondary antibodies on, and I've never done it IHC before. I've only done Western blot, and with Western blot, you use a HRP linked secondary antibody, and with IHC, you use something that has an Alexaflor on it, and I didn't know that. I didn't know there were other kinds of secondary antibodies. So I just put the wrong secondary antibody on it that, doesn't fluoresce at all. And therefore I couldn't see my protein at all. And I was just like, that was 2 days of work down the drain. Bright side, my boss wasn't at work because he had to go to the doctor's that day. So that was Friday morning. I replayed my experiment Friday evening. I went into the lab yesterday to stimulate my cells, and I went to the lab today to do the first half of IHC. So I have my primary antibody on. I put that on today, and tomorrow I'll put the correct secondary antibody on, and I'll be like, yes, I messed up horribly, but I fixed it all, and you didn't even know. Yeah. So it made me really sad.
That's quite the saga. Your boss would actually be mad at you for messing it up?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Your boss sounds like a dick.
Yeah. I'm trying not to speak ill of him right now because he is ill.
Oh, like dying of cancer?
Screw that. Tell us some of the bad stories
Wait,
about him.
is he if he's got like the cold, then fuck him. He's an asshole.
No. He recently had a stroke.
Oh yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right.
And he's like still recovering from it.
Nah, screw him. Tell us some bad stories.
Oh, you got bad stories?
I'd like to preface this by saying my boss is a solid 5 out of 10 on a scale of 0 being this is the worst boss you could possibly have, leave immediately, and 10 being this is the best boss you will ever have in your life, and you will compare them to all future bosses. Okay, he's a solid 5. He always gives us time off when we need it. He is always available when we need to ask questions, and will help us make figures and stuff like that, right? However, he is also an asshole. It when we first joined the lab, you know how you have to learn how to do things and therefore you won't have good data immediately because you just don't know how to do the experiment?
Yep.
Yeah. He didn't understand that. His constant was just if you just follow the protocol exactly, it will work. And I'm like, I'm doing my best here. I'm not quite sure why this isn't working, and you telling me to follow the protocol and it will work is not especially helpful. But every week that we didn't produce data, he just thought that I wasn't working. Instead of me being because every time I showed him bad data, he would be like, you need to, do this better. And I'd be like, yes, I agree, so eventually I just kind of stopped showing him my bad data because I was like, you don't want to see this. And then he just was like, well, you're not showing me data, therefore you are not working in lab. And I was like, that is not true. I am working in lab. It's just everything I'm doing isn't working because I don't know how to do this experiment yet. So there was that issue for a while. And
it sounds like a healthy work environment.
It has gotten a lot better since his wife has come here. So for the first...
Wait, I got a question.
Yeah.
And I think you'll know what I mean immediately after I ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
What ethnicity is your boss?
He's from India.
Yeah.
However, it's a him thing. It is a him thing. All my we've had so many postdocs in our lab. Since I've started, we've probably had, and I've been here for 5 years, we've probably had somewhere between 10 and 15 postdocs come in and leave our lab. And all of them are from India. And they're all wonderful people who I get along with, who are good to work with. And a lot of them were yeah, no, like he's difficult to work with. Like, uh, because like for a while I thought it was like a cultural thing too. I was like, maybe, this is just how people from India are. Like, and
Man,
I'm
yeah,
just
but that's not an excuse.
in.
That's if I've learned anything from my mom, because
Mm-hmm.
um, she's obviously clearly a smart white woman working in a mostly male, mostly Chinese and Indian profession.
Mm-hmm.
And she said when she was younger, she would just take that shit because that's what she thought you were supposed to do. And like maybe they don't know what's going on
Yeah.
or how you're supposed to act. And now she's like, that's not a fucking excuse. And nobody wants to work with those people, and those kind of people won't last. So
Mm.
this is the lab you've been in for 5 years.
Yeah.
Sarah, you gotta get the fuck out of Dodge, man.
I am working on it. I'm doing my best here.
You think he's hindering you from getting your dissertation done?
No, no, he's not. The biggest problem is that I'm working on a disease model that he knows nothing about. So my thesis is about inflammatory bowel disease and adult mesenchymal stem cells, and he knows about, like, his expertise is adult mesenchymal stem cells. His expertise is not inflammatory bowel disease. So I've had to do a lot of the like legwork and basic knowledge building to like to get my project anywhere. My research has been like really independent of me, because like the first year I like he told me what experiments to do, and I did them, and it just didn't make a lot of sense. Like, he didn't give me good experiments to do. Like, the experimental design was just flawed, right? And that was just a year of research down the drain. So my uh the summer before my second year, I spent, I don't know, a week or two just doing experimental design. I was like, I need to know where my project is going, and I need to know what to do and what experiments I need to do uh, for this. And so I really, really designed my own project, and that obviously has flaws when you're new to research. Uh, and then additionally, sometimes he'll have interests. So like he was really interested in mitochondria. So he had me do a seahorse mitostress assay, uh, because it was novel, right? And he was like, this is good. It's novel. You want novel things in your paper. I'm like, okay, cool. But how does that actually relate to my project? Like, what does this data mean? How can I use it? And he wouldn't have an answer for that. So I had to find an answer for that. I think all of which just kind of makes research go slower. And like additionally, I went from my bachelor's to a PhD program. So I didn't know how to do research. And I think that slowed me down too, because when I look at other students who just seem to be like light years ahead of me, and I'm like, what have they done different? Like, a lot of them have masters, and they know how to do research, and they know what good experimental design looks like, and you know they know how to learn how to do experiments, all of which just took me more time to figure out. So yeah, 5 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot you didn't do a master's. That makes a little more sense, I think, to add up. Because I think if you told just a PhD student that it would take them 5 years to do it, I would think they wouldn't be happy with that. But I think
No,
that makes
I
sense.
definitely thought it would be 4 years, because when I was told about the program, they're like, it's a 4 year program, and like some students do fine if they need it. Um, but
Yeah,
most
that's a bunch
students
of
do
bullshit.
for
Any research thing can tell you concrete. That's not because,
yeah.
like, for example, our integrated biomedical science PhD program.
Hmm.
I'm sure they say that you have like 4 years or 5 years, but they won't give you your degree until you publish.
Yes, and that's the other thing I'm working on right now, and like that's part of the reason that I was like, all right, replating on Friday because I need this data as my final figure to get a paper out,
Right.
and
Yep.
uh, and they won't let you graduate unless you have a paper published. So
Have you submitted
I
a manuscript, or is this final data for the manuscript?
this is final data for the manuscript.
Do you know what
So
journal you're going to submit to?
no, I'm not going to pick something with too high of an impact or it's going to get rejected, and
Yeah.
I'm going to beg him to just aim lower. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's my plan.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so uh,
Well, I mean, he sounds like a dick, and I hope you get out of there soon. But he's not the worst PI I've ever heard.
no, he's not.
I had there's a chick in my program, who's similar to Dr. has gone
Mhm,
through many postdocs,
mhm.
and at one point everybody quit at the same time except her, obviously, because she was a student. Um,
Terrible
but
word.
we both applied to work in his lab,
Mhm.
and she got the job and I didn't, so I ended up going to a different lab.
Yeah.
And she told me afterwards that she was told the reason she was picked is because she was a woman, and she's better at doing maintenance stuff, like autoclaving glass speakers and stuff.
Are you shitting me?
I'm not even kidding you.
Mm. You want to hear something bad?
All right.
Uh, one time, Dr. told Daniela that he didn't like hiring uh, female postdocs because if they got pregnant, then he had to give them maternity leave.
Yeah. See, that's not okay. That's not
No, it's
cool.
not.
That's not. I. It's amazing what these fuckers get away with from the
Uh,
stories I've
like,
like. My mom's horror stories are fucking gnarly, but
yeah, like
like,
he has hired plenty of female postdocs, so
yeah, but
like
you can't say that.
you can't say that. And like
Okay.
he
I mean,
makes inappropriate.
if that was my girlfriend, my wife, or something, and she told me that he told her that, I'd punch that fucker in the face.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. Although I say that, but like, Dad's told me this too, because like some shit's going on at work before. It's like you can't get involved. You gotta let her handle it because that's how you go to jail and she gets fired and nobody gets anything out of it. So,
Yeah.
but it's you can't. It's yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
But I've heard similar horror stories before.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think I got lucky with my PI.
Oh yeah.
Sort of, because she's also gone through postdocs, and right now we only have one in the lab, the only one left. And we already had one chick quit this year,
Mhm.
and then the one guy that's new, he's only been here for a semester. He's talking about leaving, so I think he's going to be done after this semester.
Yep. That sounds
And
about
then
right.
the guy that's been in there the longest is about to move on, so I'm basically going to be the last one in there, other than the postdoc. And then there's a senior researcher in the lab. He's like 60. He just does work, I guess. I don't know. But
All right.
she's really tough, but I'm like not a pushover. So anytime she tries to get me to do something, I'm not trying to do, like, within reason. Obviously she's my PI, she's my boss. But
Mhm.
sometimes she just goes overboard, and I'll just tell her no, which a lot of people won't do. They'll just keep
Good for
saying yes
you.
until they overboard. So uh,
Mhm.
at this point now, it's worked out pretty well for me. And then I present my thesis on the 19th, so I'll be basically done with school the 19th.
Of April.
Yeah, so 9 days from now.
Dear Lord.
So I'll be done with school in 9 days, basically. And after that,
Exciting.
she's just gonna keep paying me to work, I guess, because I won't give a shit anymore after I get my degree.
Okay.
Because I don't think the research is crazy impactful right now, at least the stage that we're at. So I'd like to get published, but I'm also trying to go to med school and not do more research, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard PIs are nuts. It's just it's bad to say, and I don't mean this as a generalization for all people, but like for some reason well, I know the biggest reason is because America can't get any of these fucking American white kids to go to higher education, or at least go into like STEM higher educations. So all these people come in from different countries to do it because we got fucking all these spots and nobody to film. But there's definitely a gap, you know. I could like one reason that I don't want to do research is I just don't want to deal with this constantly for the rest of my life.
I mean, you're
as a doctor, PhD, like researcher.
As a doctor, like as an MD doctor, you're gonna be working with a lot of like different cultures. So I don't think.
No, that's true. I mean, in like the capacity PhDs have to, where it's like everything's a collaboration, everything's a game, everything's like, here, let me show you my research, and then you show me your research, and then we pat each other on the back, kind of.
Yeah, like
my
academia is
living
just
won't
kind
be
of.
dependent on.
Academia is pretty oily like that, sticky, greasy. It's kind of greasy like that.
It's just a game. I didn't realize how much of a game it is. You got to play the game, like how all your money's basically tied up and you're getting grants. And the only reason you'll get a grant is if you're, publishing papers, which means basically your success is measured on how many papers you can output and what kind of journals you can publish in.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure. And to I don't know, counteract something you just said there, I've worked with a lot of people from a lot of different countries, and they've all been like 9 out of 10 have been lovely to work with. So my experience hasn't been a cultural kind of issue. It's been primarily a individual one person kind of issue, because I think we have, out of all of our PIs, only one of them is American, and she retired. So all two of them are American, but the rest of them are from different countries, and some of them are superstars, and some of them get fired because they are horrible to their students.
Yep. So, I don't mean that as for example, Guanan is the postdoc in my lab. He's from China. He's awesome. I love him to death. He's so cool. He'd be a great PI one day. Yeah. But also on the other hand, I don't see any Americans telling chicks that they hired them because they're good at the dishes. So I think people are just dicks, to be honest. Anybody, anywhere, at any time on this planet can be an asshole. So it's just there just seems to be a gap sometimes, and I don't know. My biggest reason for not wanting to do research was, one, I just didn't want to be in a lab anymore, but two, I just didn't want to play the game. I didn't want to be dependent on playing this, system that you have to play.
Yeah, I know my boss gets onto he'll volunteer for reviewing and for being on different committees and stuff like that, so he can build relationships with people to increase his chances of getting a grant. And he hates it. He does not like doing it, but he's like, but you gotta do it. I'm like, not me.
Yeah, right.
That is not the path I'm gonna take.
You have to do it. I don't have to do shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. I wouldn't want to do it. I'm just not into wet lab stuff either anymore, to be honest. Sometimes I do experiments. I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. Experiments. And then some days I'm like, man, if I gotta look at another pipette, I'm gonna chuck it through a window. So I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that. All of the future jobs I'm looking at are not in lab.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's probably Well, some people are into that, so
Yeah.
different search group folks. I personally was like, I'd rather just interact with people, to be honest. Be a doctor
That was
would
definitely
be much
something
better.
that I learned in my PhD. It was like, because I went into my PhD being like, I really like science. I'm interested in research. Like, I think I'd like to do research. And as I did it, I was like, okay, I really like learning about science. I really like talking about science. Doing science? Doing science is boring as hell and it never works.
Yep,
Yep.
pretty much. Oh man, if there's one thing I've also learned from doing all this research is how much bullshit research is.
Mm-hmm.
You look at some of these publications and you're like, man, if you told uneducated me that this is concrete science, like believe it with all your heart, I'd be like, yeah, sure. And then after I know what it takes to do some of this, like some of these techniques and stuff, I'm like, this is a
Mm,
strong maybe, is what this paper's saying,
yeah.
not a yes for certain. I also know like any paper that claims anything for sure is total bullshit. First of all, but second of all,
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes data looks too good. I don't know. Like I'm surprised sometimes by some of the articles or some of the papers I read, and then I'm like, they're making these claims with this data.
Oh yeah.
That's stretching it at minimum. So yeah,
I
I think
remember.
everybody's kind of just throwing a dart at a dartboard and hoping they get a treatment out of it.
Yeah. Like I remember from one of my classes we had to like review papers.
Yep.
Uh and like, just be like, this is what their data was and like this is their introduction and their data and their results and their discussion. And like one of my comments was like their their discussion says this, but their data does not support that. And the teacher for the class like wrote a note, was like, very good observation, Sarah. Like I'm really impressed with you. Good job. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
undergrad me, 2 years in the undergrad me could have known that wasn't fucking what they.
yeah,
That's not
like
the claims they should have made.
exactly. But I all like as I'm trying to write this paper, I understand where it's coming from because my boss is like, no, we have to like you can't say what it actually is because it needs to be this kind of data. It needs to be positive data. And like my data so far is more negative than anything, or at the very least, like very very moderate in the middle kind of stuff. And like he's
Right.
like, you can put that for your thesis, but not for your publication. I'm like, why? Like,
I yeah. See, no,
yeah,
you know why? It's because you got to play the game. The whole reason is to play the
yeah.
game. If everyone didn't have to play a game, everyone would publish shit that's like it didn't work, or it does work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as strong as you think it works. So maybe if you
Mm-hmm.
tried a therapy, it'd work. Maybe not. I don't know. 90% of the time, everyone's just guessing until they do a clinical trial, anyways. So like,
Mm-hmm.
I yeah, because I have some of the same things going on, like with PCR data for genes, for example. Like I'm
Mm.
expecting a big difference between groups, and it's like moderate or not at all. And my
Mm-hmm.
professor's like, just do it again; it'll work eventually. Like,
Yes.
I, first of
And
all,
you're like,
PCR is so like finicky that of course it'll work again. Because I'll probably fuck it up one time, and it'll just magically work, and then you'll use that as the data. Like,
yep.
see, and then knowing that, I look at PCR data and other papers, and I'm like, there's no way in hell. You
Yeah.
kidding me? An
Or like,
eightfold change in gene expression? There's no way.
or or like, oh, my favorite. So I did our qPCR looking at this IDO protein, right?
Right?
And in my PCR, we're seeing 70-fold increases, 150-fold increases, just these massive increases. And I ran it in triplicate. Like we were seeing huge increases uh in this protein.
Yeah.
Do the Western blot? Barely anything. Like I had to like keep the film on that Western blot overnight to see anything. And you're just like, excuse me, what is happening here?
Right.
And it's just kind of like, you don't you don't know. And
Right.
sometimes your boss doesn't want to like do the experiments where you could like really figure it out, because that's not the focus.
See, my boss would just say, "Don't show the Western blot, just show the PCR." It'd be Gucci. Like, all right,
Yeah.
whatever.
Like the Western blot does show a significant increase in one of the groups. So I have 3 treatment groups and a control, and in our PCRs, our control is set to 1, and the treatment groups, you compare it to the control. Right. So in one of my treatment groups where we had the really high fold expression increase, we also saw an increase in the Western blot. In the other treatment group where we saw the really high fold increase, we didn't see an increase in the Western blot. And you just kind of like shrug your shoulders and you're like, post-transcriptional modification, man.
Yeah, it's not getting translated into protein for some reason.
Yeah, and then I did an assay to look at the product of this protein, because I was like, okay, well, we're seeing these increased this increased protein level, then I'd expect to see this increased product, right? Wrong. It's the same. It's the same in every group. And I'm just like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's because the beginning product, like all of it's being converted with the like level that was initially in my control group, right? So even if we increase the expression level in my treatment groups, it doesn't matter because we have a limited amount in my control in the media. And I think that's why I'm getting the same level of product at the end with all my groups. So I'm just kind of like, this is why I hypothesize, and this is my best guess.
So, what else did you do this weekend, Sarah?
Oh. Sorry, Jake.
Are you waiting for her to say a specific thing?
No. I was just, I'll be honest, I was tired of listening to science talk.
Oh, all right. Fine. Be a jerk then. Whatever. Just because we're educated people, yo.
Listen, our one viewer that we have also probably doesn't care that much about this science talk.
Hey, what if my mom listens? She might be interested.
Your mom doesn't listen.
She doesn't listen. She's too busy to listen, I think. She's in like Oklahoma or some shit.
So you went to lab.
I went to lab. We went to a baseball game Friday night.
How was that?
Why are you asking her like you weren't there? It's like
she'll expand on the topic further.
We went for our friend Derek is really, really into baseball. Like
into minor league baseball?
Just baseball
Major
in general.
League baseball. But baseball in general, yeah. So he wanted to go to the baseball game. It was opening night for his birthday. And we went. And
we saw.
I don't like watching sports.
We're like, get the fuck out of here.
It was an extra long game.
It went like...
Oh, really? It was tied in the 8th?
No, it was just slow. They were just really slow.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. So... and like...
Sounds like you guys had fun.
I got cold.
Man, if it wasn't so cold outside, I think I would have just fell asleep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not.
See, I'm only.
I kind of got a headache at one point. The food was really expensive.
Oh, fuck that.
A bottle of water was $5.
What?
And 50 cents.
And 50 cents.
How much was a beer?
It's like $12, $13.
Holy shit, dude. I've been like, fuck, Derek.
I mean, it's like for a tall boy, but still,
I mean, tall, still $12.
Like,
still.
But, like, tickets were $6. And I'm like, I just paid
for the grass.
For a water that was as much as my ticket.
Did you bring your own stuff in?
You're not allowed to.
Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
We brought a picnic blanket in so that we could sit on it because we sat on the lawn, but
Should have brought
Well,
drinks in
yeah.
the picnic. blanket.
$6, you didn't even get a chair, huh?
Nope. But I
Those
wanted
were,
to sit on the
those
lawn.
were, how much were those? $18?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This place is
Yeah.
a fucking racket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder they
Yeah.
never
It's because nobody
stopped
likes
playing.
baseball.
They just wanted you to buy stuff. That's all those guys.
Yeah,
made
and
money.
like I don't think you can. Like maybe you can leave and come back. I don't know.
Maybe.
Overall, you know, happy to be there for my friend. Wish my friend had a different interest.
We'll not do by ourselves.
Will not do by herself.
Hmm.
Like the only scenario I could see myself doing that is if I had a stroke and had a personality change. Like that is what I'm like, yes. That there's a possibility there.
I mean, I'd go to a
Otherwise.
baseball game if you bought me like beer and popcorn.
No.
That's the
I
only way I'm
wouldn't.
going. I'm not going to any other baseball game any other way.
So we went to the baseball game Friday night. Saturday, we went to Jake's boss's land and we walked the girls, and they had the best time of their lives. Maybe not the best time of their lives, but like definitely some of the best times of their lives. They got to run in the river and like sniff in the tall grass and just have a grand old time.
We did some gun training.
We did some gun training. Jake recently bought a 410 shotgun.
Correct.
Because okay, you know how Lucy's gun shy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But Jake got this
22.
22 rifle.
Yeah.
Okay. He got a 22 rifle that she's really okay with. Like it does not bother her to hear it. So Jake was like, "All right, this is a really good sign. Let's move the next notch up and get a 410 shotgun." So he walked around shooting the 22, and Lucy was totally fine. Mud doesn't love it.
But it's okay because she's not a hunting dog.
Exactly. It's not a big deal. And she doesn't like freak out. She just kind of is like once she sees the car, she's like, "I would like to go to the car, please." And she runs there and is like, tries to like she kind of like puts her paws up on the trunk of the car to be like, "Hey, I'm done here."
So she's a house dog now,
Oh yeah, definitely. Like out
But
of
if you're not close to the car, she'll just stay next to you.
yeah. Like she doesn't try to run away or anything. So
Yeah, and you can tell she's like not happy about the gunshots, but she's not just ultimately freaked. Like every other gun shy dog I've seen just runs, right? Mud does not do that. She just comes close, and she just acts a little unhappy. So she's not like super gun shy.
No. So
I
all
think
around.
we can break it.
All right.
I think we need to like find a way to incorporate food in there because like you have never met a more food motivated dog than Mud. Like every time we go to the vet and I'm like, just give her treats and she'll do anything for you. They're like, yeah, like that was absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Like she was a little like reticent,
I don't know what
and
you're trying to
unhappy.
say.
But the second we started giving her treats, she became our best friend, was happy to do absolutely anything for us. And I'm like, yep, that is correct.
I'm hoping those starlings will show back up in our backyard and we can trap those and use those. Because she does show interest in birds. So I think we can
Oh, you're
use
gonna
that
try
as
to
a...
turn her into a bird dog?
No, it's just a positive reinforcement kind of thing. Like she does like birds, so we'll use birds because she likes them.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Like give her a bird to kill?
No, so like you start off with a bird in your back pouch, and you let the bird go, and the dog chases the bird, and you shoot a gunshot off as they're going to chase the bird. So they associate the sound of that gunshot with a bird getting let go, right? So it becomes positively reinforced. And then eventually you swap it to the gunshot and then a bird.
You've been listening to a lot of dog training podcasts, haven't you?
I have listened to a ton of dog training podcasts.
I could tell.
I've also just made like a lot of mistakes and had to learn from those. So
Are you trying to be an expert dog trainer? Your next dog's is going to be like a pro retriever?
I would like it to be. I'm actually, if we do move to Idaho, I'll probably get a lab next. Just because
You're going to have 4 dogs?
Yeah, just so that. Just
That's
so,
a fuck ton of dogs.
so
Didn't you tell me you're
cold.
going to live in a trailer? What the fuck are you guys doing?
Darling.
What?
Just started a conversation.
You told me I could get a dog.
Yeah, but like, yes, but that's like if we have a house.
Yeah. If we have room for a 4th dog, I'm not.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
we're living in a trailer, we're not getting another dog.
Define room. Like, how much room do you need for 4 dogs?
At least 2 bathrooms, okay?
2 bathrooms.
You need 2 bathrooms.
bathrooms.
Probably fair.
Yes.
What does that have to do with dogs?
It's just a measurement of size, like a.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you could have a huge backyard and live in a trailer. And I think 4 dogs.
Yeah,
would
but
be
if you live in
okay.
a trailer, you can have 4 dogs.
No, you just keep most of the dogs outside, and the old one gets
What?
to live inside.
Oh my god! Are
Okay.
you guys having a kid too? That's a lot of fucking stuff going on.
First of all,
You can make them like
Of
nice
the-
dog pens,
of our 3 dogs, only the oldest, Lucy, is the one who really likes to be outside.
That's true.
Yes. And then
All right, maybe Mud can stay inside.
number 2,
Just
I don't
looking
want
at
to
Lucy
I don't want to kick
outside,
our
like,
dogs outside. No. I am not for this plan.
sounds like it's going over well.
Look, that was just like the worst case scenario, right?
I thought you'd get another dog like when one of your dogs died. Like,
Well, they're
in
getting
10 years or
close.
something.
10
They're getting
years.
close to death.
Yeah.
I don't know how old your dogs are. However old they are.
How old is
Lucy-
Lucy? She's like,
Lucy's 9.
that's
Nez
getting up
is
there.
7.
It ain't that close,
That's
bro.
pretty old.
She's,
I've
like,
lost
she's
dogs
got
younger.
She's got at least another 6 years in her, darling.
Maybe.
Uh,
You don't know.
Jake's counting down the days so you get a new dog. That's psychopathic behavior, by the way.
Jake is going to be a train wreck when Lucy dies.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Nez is 7, but she's a smaller dog. So I'm expecting her to live between 15 and 20.
20? Holy shit,
She's
that's how
not
long those
gonna be
dogs live?
20.
I thought they lived shorter lives, like 12 or something.
Those are like
No.
really small dogs.
Oh.
Like dogs that shouldn't
Brittany's-
be that small.
Let's see.
I'd blanket 15, all of them. Best case.
Okay.
I bet
Yeah,
Mud will live
Brittany's-
longer than any other dog we have.
Brittany
'Cause she's a
should
mutt.
live around 15 years. But Nez is a little small for a Brittany. So I'm going to add another year for that. So, in any case, Nez is firmly middle-aged and has at least
Oh, Nez is
7
Nez
to
is
8
fine.
more years.
Nez is fine. She's like
And then,
just almost out of her prime.
yeah. And then Mud is 2.
Maybe.
Probably.
She's a solid pup.
She's a solid pup. Like, our dogs aren't dying anytime soon. And I can't remember which one of y'all brought that up, but shame on
That
you.
was Gavin.
Gavin.
Probably me.
And
Hey, I'm
then-
just saying,
I
man.
do
You guys
not-
gonna be
I
living
do
in
not-
redneck utopia in a trailer with 4 dogs and whatever the fuck you guys are doing, man.
I do not wish death upon our dogs.
And then, let's see.
What were we talking about? Your weekend?
The
Was
lab
that? Oh, the
of the
lab.
weekend.
Yeah.
Our dogs. What we did this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Training our dogs. And then Jake said that if we move to Idaho, he wants a lab because
So
Of all the-
cold.
Yes, and all the dog training things that he's been learning about and whatnot. But we have to have space for that. And Boise, Idaho is it's so expensive to live in. Like,
Well, I would assume the job you get would pay you enough to live.
I don't know.
No, they didn't tell you.
Their
Her
pay is not
interview
stated.
is Tuesday.
The interview is Tuesday.
Interview's Tuesday. All right.
Yes, but I don't know if they're going to discuss pay at the interview.
Well, when the fuck are you supposed to find that out? When you show up? Hey, by the way, this is how much we're paying you.
No, so you do the interview, and then either at the end of May or beginning of June, one of the two, they'll let you know if you're selected as a fellow. And I assume that they tell you the pay and benefits then.
That kind of sucks. I want to know sooner. Like, by the way, you made it. Also, we pay you in fucking pennies.
Well, I know what the pay is for Missouri. The pay for Missouri is $50,000, and I know that we can live off of that. So.
Yeah, it's probably good enough for Missouri.
Yeah. And on their website, it says that they will pay no more. That the cap is 100,000. So I'm like, well,
for Idaho or Missouri?
For Idaho. So I'm like, well, the pay is somewhere between 50K and 100K.
Hopefully.
And I do not know what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah. Huh. So.
Well, that's your number one choice, right, Idaho?
Job-wise, I'm really down for either. They're both really great programs, and I think I could do well in either of them. Housing-wise, Missouri is actually the better option. Like,
I've been looking so much more affordable.
It's so much more affordable, and like a lot of the land around Jefferson City is considered by the USDA rural land. So if we wanted to buy a house, then we could potentially get a USDA loan where we wouldn't have to put any money down.
That's cool. What kind of interest rate would you get for that, though?
I mean, I think it's like what's standard for the, what's standard right now. So I think most interest rates are between like 4 and 5% right now. So I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And that's like with like a conventional 20% down kind of loan,
Yeah. Well, for a home, I don't think that's conventional, but like the interest rate, yeah, I think it's like 5% right now, which is pretty high. But I don't know
it
for
is.
a loan where you don't have to put anything down if they jack up the interest rate even higher.
Not with USDA.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. So we could get a fixer-upper, take the money that we would otherwise put into like a down payment and put it into a fixer-upper instead. So housing-wise, Missouri's a better option. Location-wise, I know that like Boise would be a more fun place to live. Like there are mountains nearby, and like I could get more into outdoor rock climbing, which would be really cool. And like there's a lot of hunting for Jake, and like I think the weather is a little bit more temperate, if that makes sense. Like I think the weather in Missouri like hits all 4 seasons real hard. Like,
I think it's probably cold as fuck in Idaho most of the time.
Like, I think it is cold as hell, but like, I think their winters stay. I don't remember who told me this. I think it was one of Jake's parents, where like the winter, like it stays around 30 the whole time, which is cold, but like it's not 0.
For where?
For Idaho?
I think Missouri is the one that's more. You get a little bit of each season.
Yes, like Missouri, you get a little bit of each season, and Idaho, is like it's cold, but like I'm thinking that Missouri you'll get like you'll get, really, really cold days and also really, really hot days. You feel? And I think Idaho is just kind of like cold/temperate.
I don't know if I agree with this.
I also don't know if what I'm saying is true because I haven't been to either state.
Yeah, I've got no fucking clue. I've never even looked at Idaho on the map. I just skip over it. Like, fuck that. Just not even gonna look at it.
No, but like it's an interesting state and it has some interesting problems that it's facing. So it would be a cool place to live.
Interesting. Muy interesante.
Well, do we have any concluding thoughts?
Oh, have we hit the hour mark already?
In 1 minute
It's
and
midnight.
39
Does that mean
seconds.
you're gonna start playing the music soon? I'm gonna have to yell and be like, "Fucking Jet!"
If you don't have a concluding thought.
I
Wait,
don't know.
What?
I feel like it just went by
you
so
didn't
fast.
say anything about your weekend. I just talked about us the entire time. Do you have anything you want to share?
No, we had the same weekend.
Yeah, we
What?
did the same thing.
We
I was
did
there
this-
the whole
we-
time.
we-
By the way, we just didn't notice.
Very fair.
The music is playing now.
Oh God. Okay. Well, thank
You
you,
have to get
Sarah. for
louder.
being on the podcast. Welcome anytime. Anytime.
It was a pleasure to have you, wife.
Super happy to